Did you know that last week was Nurses Week? This year's theme was the power of nurses to transform health. My guests are both registered nurses at the Lennox and Addington County General Hospital in Napanee. Well, these two nurses were so busy working last week that I wasn't able to get them in for a chat until today. Lindsay Bate works in acute care and Holly Crossgrove is in the intensive care unit. So hello, Lindsay and Holly. How are you today?
Great.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
So tell me, how long have you two been nurses at the hospital?
So I've been nursing there for about 8 years now, since 2017.
And Holly?
I've been at Lennox and Addington about 3 years now.
Okay, and you're both in different departments. Lindsay, tell me about your typical day and what you do at the hospital.
So I'm a registered nurse on the acute care. I'm a med-surg nurse. So that's your typical inpatient hospital nurse. I arrive at my shift to get a report on what patients I'm going to have and then plan my day. And then I take care of my patients.
Okay, so is it simply patients coming in for the day or staying in the hospital?
So
both?
Yeah, so they're in the hospital, they've been admitted, they came through the emergency department and the doctor decided, okay, hey, you need to stay for a little while to get either treatments or monitoring until we make you better or decide what the next plan or step is. So that's how they get to my unit.
And that's how you deal with the patients. And Holly, what does your typical day?
So we'll get patients that are a little bit sicker, need closer monitoring, more frequent like assessments or vitals done on them because they got certain drips running. We're a level 2 ICU, and so with that, we don't have patients that are on ventilators, nothing like that. Like the highest we'll go is BiPAP, and then occasionally we'll have medical overflow come into our unit because our census is low in the ICU. And so if our census is low and we have available beds, we'll take medical patients or surgical patients as overflow into our unit if Lindsay's unit is full.
I mean, it's a great little hospital. You serve quite a large geographic area, and actually anybody from Kingston or surrounding area can check in if they have an issue. How many patients would you care for in an average shift or day?
So on my unit, I will have up to usually 6 patients on a day shift, and then overnight usually we pick up a more higher patient load. So we can have up to 8, sometimes 10, depending on the staffing. And that's because they're a little more stable than the patients that are going to be in the ICU.
And ICU, how many patients would you typically deal
Typically we'll do 2. There's 2 of us that'll work in the ICU, so we have 4 beds, so we'll split it up 2 and 2, depending on how sick they are and the acuity that we need to focus on. Like sometimes they'll need to be one-on-one.
What services would you provide for those patients in ICU?
So we'll watch the cardiac monitors. If they're on some sort of drip that can really impact their blood pressure or heart rate, we want to keep a close eye on them to make sure that if something changes, we notice it and we can address the issue as soon as possible. Or if we're waiting for them to have a positive change and it's working, just being able to constantly like adjust things based on lab work or how they're responding to medications, just monitoring vital signs.
So you're essentially on call. The patient needs something, they buzz you or
Exactly.
and you have to be there.
Yeah.
Now how do you interact with the doctors? How does that work?
Our doctors are great. They're very approachable. They value our opinions. So it's really easy and nice to, if we notice a change, good or bad, we can just walk into the doctor's room, which is located on Lindsay's side of the hospital. And I can just be like, oh, hey, like this patient, this is how they're responding to the medication. How do you want to move further? Or I could be like, oh, like, this is my suggestion just based on how we do things at this hospital, especially if they're a newer doctor or resident, and they're really good to take that into account.
Lindsay, how many nurses are there total at the hospital? Do you know, ballpark?
I don't know. I think I saw something, a post by the hospital. It's like 170.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
Yeah, we
And
do get-
essentially, I mean, there's a nurse there 24/7, right? That has to deal with all the individual patients. What do you think is the most challenging part of your profession?
Well, there's several for me. The fact that we're all burnt out and the staffing issues.
Are you
So,
short-staffed, would you say?
yes, both of our units experience short staffing quite frequently. I would say like maybe 70% of the time, sometimes more.
So does that mean extra long shifts or overtime or?
Yeah, so it either means you take on a heavier workload, so you might have another patient added to your assignment when you typically wouldn't, or you have to compromise your own things for yourself during the day. So it means sometimes missing breaks to compensate for the heavier workload on the floor. It means improvising for what you would typically do in your day and shuffling things around to accommodate what's going on the unit.
Okay. Last question. Are nurses underappreciated?
I would say yes. It's such a heavy workload and low reward profession right now, I think. It wasn't like that when I started, but it's gradually been getting worse over the years.
So we need more nurses.
It would be helpful. With that, though, like,
It's retaining the nurses
yeah.
too. A
'Cause of
lot of
the-
nurses are leaving the profession entirely, or they're going to what's called an agency. So at an agency, they're going to pay you 2 to 3 times more is what you're making at a hospital, and then they are like a relief staffing agency. So they
Right.
fill in those holes and those gaps when we can't get a staff member at our own facility.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming in and filling us in on your challenges. Yeah, we need more nurses in our hospitals, definitely. So thanks to both of you,
Thank you.
and carry on the good work.
You shall. Thanks.